Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast with me. It's funny, I do this every single day, and you would think I'd be better at this, excuse me, after 500 trainings in a row kind of thing. Um, but literally, I was just leaning back in my chair going, okay, it's almost noon. I'm just going to relax and wait till we start. And I forgot to do, this one task of I watch on my phone so that I could just make sure that stuff's coming across the way it should be. All right, but I got it squared away. Hey, thanks a lot for those of you engaging in chat. I appreciate that. It helps the community get built as people engage in there. Let us know if you're open to connections, right? If you're new in here or if you've been in here hundreds of times in my training, you want to let people know I'm open to connecting, and that way people can reach out and talk to you. Okay, so I wanted to start with just a quick tip for those of you showing up early and on time. As a thank you for doing that. And my tip for you is around artificial intelligence or AI. AI is this huge buzzword, right? I'm not going to presume to know what stage or how much you know about AI, but AI is this huge buzzword across the entire world. And in the federal market, it's a big buzzword. And so this is something that I recommend people really consider, is that you're a subject matter expert in something: software development, cybersecurity, administrative support services, working in offices and business units. You're in construction. You're on some of the parts sides like tractors, whatever it is, right? I mean, I know we have a broad audience, and so what you sell, I don't specifically know. But AI is going to fit in every one of the things that we do, including things like, haircut. Right. Well, I don't think the Army is going to have a lot of design, but if you think about haircuts, for example, AI could sit there and there could be an AI play where I could sit in front of some computer that you've built because you know hair, and you could say, how would you like this hairstyle, Neil? Or how would you like this one? And it just is instantly redrawing me to make me, what's it like with long hair? What's it like with a buzz cut? And my tip for you is to think about, how can you use AI? How can you get ahead of what you do with an AI solution or an AI recommendation, so you can talk to the federal customer about it? You can go into agencies and say, hey, we're supporting you on construction, but one of the things that's really coming out is this whole play on AI and how we can use AI to improve what we do. So one quick example that I like to use is elevator services, because anybody in the professional or IT services, we all can kind of see that. But in elevator services, you might think, it's all mechanical, oil it and hopefully it goes up and down, and you occasionally replace it every 5 or 10 years. Well, AI can really find the optimal time to be oiling it. AI can have solutions that begin to oil it on demand, so you don't even have to come in, which reduces the service cost. AI can extend the life of an elevator by blah, 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 blah. I don't know what it is, right? I'm not the elevator guy. But that's my tip for you, is think about how you can be integrating AI into what you're doing. And here's the thing to remember about AI. No one knows what the heck it is. Nobody. There's a lot of us who talk about it. We'll talk about it all day long. And some of us have been IT, right? But when you think about how is AI going to be used across the board, AI is literally brand new in most people's minds. And so it won't take you but a couple of weeks at most to become an AI expert enough to have a conversation. And you can always team up with another company that's out there that can bring the AI functionality, but you bring your subject matter expertise. Anyways, that was a longer tip than I usually give, but it was a tip for success for those showing up early and on time. We're going to dive into training today on the Treasury and just steps for you to have success in the Treasury. I got 26 minutes. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go off to the races. But I wanted to start with really quickly. I wanted to start with just how much is the Treasury spending, right? So I wanted to go in there. And by the way, there's two ways I can deliver this training to you. I can deliver it all packaged and pretty, and you have no idea how I got there. Or I can show you how I, tie a hook on the fishing line and go out and fish and blah, 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 right? And so I want to teach you how to fish so that no matter what agency you do, or if you want to go back and do this yourself, you're seeing how I do what I do. So let's go to the Treasury. The first thing I want to do when I'm going into any agency, or if I'm in there and I want to refresh my understanding of what's important to them, I'm going to come into USASpending as an example here. So a couple of things I do right away is I filter out USASpending. I want to look at the last fiscal year. Then I want to select the agency type here is, let's see if we just type in Treasury. There we go. So Department of Treasury. Here's award types. I'm going to say contracts and contract vehicles. I don't need grants or loans or anything else. And I think that was all I want to do at the moment. So let's see what we got. So I'm going to hit submit search. I'm going to zoom back out for 1 second. Let me go here for a minute. So the first tab, this is what happens when you hit the results, if you're not familiar. The first tab I like going to is time. How much money are they spending? And this is what I put into the LinkedIn event that you probably saw, right? They spend about $10 billion. This is how I come up with that number. I just go into USASpending and I say how much contract dollars went out the door. And so it was $10 billion. I can also break this down, especially since we're heading towards the end of the year, and go, what does it look like? I'm like, okay, these guys definitely are a spender at the end of the year. They spent $1.6 billion in September alone. So 10% of their budget was in the last month. And and actually more than 10%, obviously. And then if you sit there and add it together in the last quarter, they're doing, what is that? 1.6, 1.7, 2.7. I don't know what that is. Let's call it 3 even, right? A little bit more than 3, but $3 billion in the last quarter, 30% of their budget's being spent. That's a quick 2-second way of me understanding what they're doing. The next thing I want to see is where they're spending it. And I'll talk about this in a minute, but the Treasury, if you come into the Treasury, you'll see that's a department level, but there's sub-agencies. In the Treasury, they call them bureaus. In the DHS, they call them components, but basically these are all agencies. And so if I come in here, I want to see where are they spending it? So if I click on this tab, categories, let me zoom in a little bit, categories, and then sub-agencies is what I'm really looking for. Of that $10 billion, where are they spending it? And this is an immediate eye opener for me. Almost $9 billion of it, and I apologize, I'm coming off of being sick. Almost $9 billion of it is being spent in 2 agencies or 2 bureaus, right? So the Mint and IRS. IRS makes total sense, right? They got a lot of money. They're going in. In fact, their budget should massively go up in this year and next year, et cetera. But then as I start coming down, I start looking at these other components. And this is a flag for me. If I'm going to go in and I only have so much time, do I want to be spending a lot of time trying to knock on, some of these, actually some of their other bureaus? Let me look really quick. Hold on one second. So I can come down to the bottom of this page and I can see a quick list of the bureaus right here. So there's alcohol, tobacco, there's Bureau of Engraving, looking for something else, IRS and currency, and Mint. So let's look at alcohol, tobacco, and I thought it used to be ATF, but that must be something else. And Bureau of Engraving, right? So if I come back here, if I'm not missing it, I don't see it anywhere, right? And so that must mean they're on the next page or something. Their spending is pretty low. And this is important to just be paying attention to. There is BEP, so they got up there pretty high. And then you can go in farther if you want. Like I could have actually gone further into, instead of the Treasury as an agency, I could have gone into something deeper. So anyways, this is a quick way for me to be able to just look at what's being spent. I can also go in here into industry code. And again, this is not an FPDS training or USASpending training, but I can come in here really quick and see what kind of spending are they doing. So this is pretty interesting. And I don't know what they buy, right? But I'm assuming this is money, right? So metal smelting, I'm just assuming that. I don't know for sure. But then after that, it gets down into 2 big ones around computer stuff, IT, professional services, and then right back to smelting, which is interesting. It'd be like, look at these things that are in here. I don't know what they are, but it's interesting that that spends pretty high. But because they make money, I don't know, I assume it's money. Okay, so let me back up for 1 second here. And so we'll get started here on the Treasury. I just wanted to help you understand that's what we're going to look at today is looking at the Treasury. They're spending a lot of money. How can we begin to go in there and get some traction within the Treasury? If you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I am the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market as a small business owner, and since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret. It's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we're going to have repeatable, predictable results. That's what I want for you. That's why I do this training, is so that you can learn process and skills that you can do over and over again and get really, really good at it. That's what gets you to the predictable, repeatable results. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our newsletter. It's the Government Contracting Success Newsletter. It's on my LinkedIn profile. Maybe somebody will drop a link into the chat. But it's where we share all sorts of great information. For example, an issue that we're planning on dropping today is around a whole bunch of Army opportunities that are coming out just from this one particular area. But these might be interesting to you. But also in that article, we will be dropping a bunch of people's names. These are people you can reach out to and talk to, and hopefully we'll have their names, their phone numbers, and emails in there. And so that is the kind of quality that is in our newsletter. And so I hope to have you as a subscriber. And then the last thing is we put out this training at least a week in advance. You can register on LinkedIn to tell us you're coming. I want to thank those of you who do register to attend. We really appreciate it. When you do, it gives us a heads up, and it gives LinkedIn a nudge to be able to push the training out to more people who might be interested. So thank you for registering. And if you haven't registered for tomorrow or Fridays, make sure you do that on LinkedIn. Okay, so let's get rocking and rolling back into the meat of the training. And let's just start here. This is a great, well, actually, I'm sorry, I'll go back up. When I'm going in and I'm trying to learn about an agency, and again, remember, I'm going to walk you through how I do this, not just show you everything perfect in slides, but I want to walk you through how I do my discovery process so that you can do this as well. But I want to learn about Department of Treasury, and I want to go into Treasury. I can bounce around the menu systems, but one of my favorite things to do is to just head to the footer, because a lot of these companies or agencies have a pretty good navigation down here. Some of these guys still have site maps, which is a little bit old school, but super cool. But this basically is a site map, right? When you think about it, here they're talking about their bureaus. I'm not going to go into the bureaus at the moment, but that's really important. I want to know who what the bureaus are. And if I tie that to what I saw in USASpending, then I'm able to begin to understand where I might want to learn more. And so then maybe I could, in particular, push harder on IRS. The other thing I wanted to show you is some of this information. So Office of Inspector General, this is a great place to learn about an agency. So I'm going to click on that and show you. Right here in the middle, it's got, and I'm sorry if this is too small, let me make it a little bigger. Right here in the middle, it's talking about some of these shared services. If you're in the professional services or IT services, this might be an area for you to really expand in there and understand. But what I'm looking for and what I find are these ones, right? Over here, we've got additional resources. It's taken me right to where I want to be, the small business contacts, which is going to lead me to a bunch of small business related information. And then budget and performance, really, really important information. The rest of this stuff doesn't really matter for today, but let's move on and begin to look at some of this information. So keep in mind, what I like to do is help you understand how can you get the Treasury to be able to know who you are? How can those buyers find you? And I'll talk about that in a minute. How can you find their buyers, and how can you find opportunities? So primarily, we're looking to build relationships and find opportunities. That's the bulk of what this business development type activity is. So here, when I come into OIG, I take the time, I bounce around, I look at stuff, but there's certain things I drive right to that I want you to drive to. So right here are reports. And if I click on the reports, I get what I'm really driving at, and I want you to pay attention to as well. So if I come down, there's all sorts of good stuff, and you should look at it. But the ones I like to look for are management challenges. So I'm going to click on that one. And then the other one is just to see if there's anything that's a flag. And there's not really anything that's a flag. I am going to click on this one just for a second, and we'll click on that one. So I'm going to close this tab because I went into OIG. I'm just looking for reports. So here, let's start with management challenges. This is the one of the bigger ones. Let me click on this guy. So it's a little harder to read. Let me make it wide. So if I come down here, I'm going to start seeing that in the table of contents, the main challenges that the Treasury is facing, or that these guys are saying the Treasury is facing, are, I can't scroll. Come on. Okay, there we go. I got to use my keyboard. But I'm coming through. I'm like, okay, COVID-19 challenge number 1, I can't really do anything about. But if I come down to challenge number 3 or 2, cyber threats, I absolutely could do something. And I'm going to go to that. Information technology, acquisition, and project management stuff. I'm going to go look at that. One of the things I want you to understand is that challenge 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all repeats. That means these guys have been having this challenge for a while. And so this is a pain point. When we do sales in the federal market or anywhere, we want to understand the customer's needs, and we want to understand their challenges, the pain points. And they are in these documents, these management challenges documents, and every agency has them. In here, you can find stuff out. So I like this one, by the way, operating in an uncertain environment. That is a really interesting one. And if I wanted to understand, I could go in and dig more. But I'm going to go a little bit more into just cyber threats as an example. So if I go down here, and you don't need to read all this, so I'm going to scroll out. But if I come down, I'm looking at cyber threats, and they're telling me what they're running into, right? And so I can read these things and begin to understand the challenges they're facing. Here they're talking about supply chain issues and how it ties back to executive orders. Same thing, right? So as you're going along, I'm not trying to give you all the information. I'm trying to get you to go look at it yourself if you're in that space. But even understanding, so that section, that cyber section, if you do anything with professional services or IT, you should be reading that if you're going into the Treasury. All right, let me go to this next one. So this next one is, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, depending on the agency. But I've shared this one out. I like this. This is 81 pages of OIG speaking to Congress about what's going on, right? So if I just page down for a minute, the first thing I'm starting off with is where they've got kind of their highlights in there. But this always is where I go, right? I come in and I can start learning about this organization on what's going on. One of the first things that's catching my attention, right, is again, this management and performance challenges. That's a different one. A minute ago, I was looking at management challenges. I'm not totally sure. Okay, so it might be the same one. It is. So I'm just confirming that I already saw the document. It's like, okay, good to go. Let me come back up to the table of contents here. Some of these statistical summaries are awesome, right? It's my ability to go in and look. The reason you want to look at this, and I'll go past this pretty fast. The reason you want to look at these documents and this kind of information is because this helps me when I go in and have a conversation with somebody in a program office in particular. And I'm talking to them, like I can sit there and say, hey, you know what, John? I was looking at the OIG's report for Treasury, and it was talking about, one of the OIG accomplishments. Let's go down there really quick. So here it's telling me there's something in here. Anyways, right here, Treasury OIG support. I can look in here, and who cares what it says at the moment? I can reference it though. When I was looking at it, it was talking about numerous problems with fraudulent unemployment insurance. Can you expand on that? What are you guys running into? How are you addressing it? And it does two things. One is it immediately says that you're doing your homework, and it shifts your authority. The second thing it does is it drives the conversation. You're not in there to talk a lot. You're in there to understand and learn from them. And so if you can ask intelligent or well thought out, well-researched questions like you can get from these documents, then you're going to be able to get well thought out answers coming back at you. Okay, so just moving at a lightning pace because we end in 12 minutes at the bottom. So here I'm just looking at this thing's audit and evaluation reports. These are interesting to look at, not even enough for me to click on at the moment, but like right here, right? This is coming from their DO, whatever that is, like department headquarters or something. But cybersecurity information technology, I can see some sort of report here. I'm like, okay, in fact, I'll click on that one I'm curious on what we're going to get. Okay, we didn't get anything. If you want to get it, it's classified it's an unclassified report, which is interesting. So I might reach out and say, hey, I saw this report. Could I get a copy of it? Could I come into a reading room and read it? I don't know if it's valuable, but you would know this for your business. But to begin to look at these things, they're communicating constantly about what they're doing. Okay, so let's move on to people. As I'm looking at people, one of the great things, remember, let me just come back here. Remember, right from the homepage of Treasury, I was able to see, because they do a great job of just saying, here's your small business contacts. Not even like an OSDBU page or how to do business yet. They know that what we want first is to talk to somebody. Like, excuse me. They're like, okay, here they are. So here are all these small business specialists, right? And these people are great. You can get in there and talk to them, reach out to them. And so they're in each one of these bureaus that are in there. And then there's also an OSDBU office separate from here that's got a bunch of people. But this is great, a great start for you getting in there and talking to people. When you're able to do that, you're able to start learning more and you can get introductions. One other way that I really like, two other ways, and I'll only show you one, two other ways that I really like to get people's information is I can go to FPDS and I can get points of contact in there for contracting officers. And I can do the same thing if I go into SAM, right? Just really quickly, if I show you how I go gather some information, if I go into SAM, I'm looking at contract opportunities. I'm going to come down here to federal agencies. Come on. And just type in Treasury. Hopefully it'll come back pretty fast. There you go. And just right away, this is an interesting thing. Right away, this is a flag for me. There's only 90 open notices right now within the Treasury. And so I'm wondering why is there so few in here? That's something for me to pay attention to. But as I come down, I can quickly look at things, right? Here's a digital transformation efforts. I know that actually is leading to a different kind of a document, but here's an RFI and a sources sought. And there's multiple sources sought that are in here, right? Cloud support. Here's one for support with people with disabilities. I have a customer that focuses on supporting this kind of need, right? And so the ability maybe to even come in, what is this? This is source. So this is just a draft RFP kind of thing, but I can keep looking at these things. And as I see something, if I want to get in, let's look at this one, IRS Live Assistance, right? If I want to find people's information, clearly I'm looking at the Treasury. Remember, they're a big spender. I can see it's a special notice. So special notices tend to be like sources sought or sole source, maybe justification before they drop it. And so here, the purpose of this is market research, which is interesting. I don't know why it's not a sources sought. It's because it's telling you go back to GSA if you're in there. But I'm able to look at some of this stuff. And the kicker that I like, well, here's the RFI, right? So I can look at that. Oh, look at this. The one place I wanted to go to, this is a little embarrassing, but a little not. I wanted to show you that there are always people in there, but it turns out there's not. I'm curious, though, can I get people just by clicking on this thing? So if I click on this, I may be able to find people. No, it looks like I'm just scrolling really quick. I picked like the only one in SAM that doesn't have a point of contact. But if I clicked on any of these others, right? And come on, don't embarrass me here. If I click on any of these others and you're looking for people's names, here's Melissa, right? Hardbarger. She's at Treasury. I can look over there and she is a perfect point of contact for me to tracking. If I sell, what was this service here? Well, right here, right? If I'm in the maintenance, building repair, facility management type stuff, anything on maybe the product side, this is a person I would put into my list. When I talk about targeting is about getting into an agency by knowing the people you want to talk to. Well, how do you find those people? This is one example of how you can find people, is find opportunities you wish you won or opportunities that are coming out and you want to pursue. And then at the bottom in SAM, for example, you can find those people. You don't need any fancy subscriptions. FPDS and SAM have a ton of information in there about people, and so does the Treasury, which I'll come back to in a second. One last thing is just pointing out, if you haven't seen my other training, there's notice types. And if I clicked on notice type and I just said, show me special notices, let me see. So let me come up here really quick. So there was 17. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm looking to see if they've got like, usually what they have are, and they don't. So I'm going to get at, oh, here it is. This is what I was trying to show you. Usually they talk about industry days, et cetera. So in this particular case, we're looking at an industry day that's forward looking, which is awesome because if you're lucky, it's virtual and you can sign up. Sometimes there's people in here, and I'm just going to scroll to the bottom actually really quick. Look at that second one in a row and there's no people. That's crazy talk. But anyways, my point is when you find something like this, two things. You can go, hey, in June, I want to go to it. But also then you can go backwards and say, well, let me go find the previous one, because generally year over year, most things about an industry day stay the same. And, the things that switch are like opportunities, et cetera. So, hey, really quick, before I get too far, because I'm almost going to wrap up, but I want to show you some more stuff on finding people. We've got some exciting news coming out. We've got a SaaS product, an AI-driven solution to really helping government contractors succeed, in particular, small businesses. That's our world. That's where we excel at happening. I get larges coming to me all the time. They want the same training, but what we do is focus on helping you. And so an example of the problems we're going to be helping address in this product and subscription are going to be helping you build relationships and finding those slam dunk opportunities that are basically built for you, right? Our tools are going to be able to help you organize your effort without giving you a massive amount of administrative overhead to do. Like a lot of us don't like being on our computer. We'd rather be out talking to somebody. And then also being able to win more contracts. That's the fundamental goal. So if you're interested in something like that, go check out govconinabox.com, govconinabox.com, and just add your name to the wait list. I'd love to tell you about it when it drops. We're probably dropping it right there in early June, so I'd love to tell you about it. Okay, so the other thing I want to wrap up with is two things here. One is make sure you're getting into an agency and looking at their strategic documents, their financial reports. There's a lot to learn in there about who the program offices are, and it leads you to be able to find people. You're also able to begin to chase those down as they relate to opportunities. And so let me come right back here for 1 second. I can come in here and look at a forecast of opportunities, right? So the Treasury has this great forecast tool, Treasury Dynamic Forecast Tool. And if you go in here, you're able to really begin to start finding out some good information on opportunities you're trying to chase. And so I don't have a lot of time to try to walk you through each one, but you can see the number of upcoming opportunities they have. This is staggering, 964. And the only thing I can think of with 964 when I see that, by the way, is that it's just not accurate. So let me click on it really quick. What I mean by not accurate is I got a funny feeling that there's stuff that is from the past that is being listed like it hasn't been archived or anything yet. And so let's see, we're right here. This is just too much for me to show you right now. You can download it, but when I look at this thing, it is just, it's too staggering to me to think that, and this is actually not working right. If you can see this stuff, you start realizing it's a bunch of really ugly data. But what I want you to do though is come in here and realize that you can find a lot of opportunities that are coming up. And these opportunities are always tied to somebody, a person that you can get in and start talking. Go watch a training I did on Monday where I showed how one of my customers just won a direct award with an agency, and they did it within 23 business days. And the way they did it was to get engaged, finding an opportunity like this and started getting engaged early, having a conversation that basically was able to eliminate the competition. You can do the same thing even if you're just a small business with none of those set-aside programs. So push on that. Last thing I wanted to say, just on finding people, and I know I'm going at a full bore pace here, is you can come into LinkedIn, for example, and you should maximize that. Click in the search bar, hit enter. Don't put any information in. When you do, it comes here. And if you're looking for people, you can just click on people. Here you can say current company, for example, and type in Treasury. And there's Department of Treasury. Let me hit show results. And when I hit Department of Treasury, I'm getting back 13,000 results, right? And that doesn't count some of the people who don't put Treasury in their job title. Instead, it's like IRS or something. And so as you start coming through, but like right here, Deputy Chief Information Officer is in there. Here's a Deputy Director for Resilience. What is that? What do you do? Hey, can I get 10 minutes and understand what you do? Here's Senior Advisor, Procurement, Contracts, Grants, etc. You've got all these people in. When you think about trying to do business at the Treasury, just think about it in this process that we teach. And in fact, let me find one last screen that I'll end with, because I really want you to see this, and I'll get rid of my face. This is the 7-step process that I teach all the time. If you follow this process, you will have success in the Treasury. You do your research, like I was just showing, learn a little bit about them. Just take a few days, a week to really get a lot of that data and understand them. And then begin to build a target list. Like I just showed you with LinkedIn or with the small business specialist or with the contracting folks who are over on Sam and FPDS, build that targeting list and pick up the phone and start reaching out to them. When you do, you will start developing relationships with these people that will lead to the opportunities your company can win, so that you can pursue them and write proposals to them. And what I describe is once you do that, you'll start winning sales and you'll be on this wheel of success. It will not end because you will be delivering great work for the Treasury. They will want to keep you, and you will hear about more opportunities, et cetera, earlier. All right, I'm going to wrap up because we're out of time. Reach out to me if I can help you in any way. You can check that out and learn how you can work with us on govconchamber.com. For all of us, just remember, government contracting, it is not a secret. It's just a process. I'll see you in the next training.